Welcome back to Real Talk with Delphine. I am Distinctive Delphine, and today we're going to talk to the Welcome Home Alliance Veterans and Welcome Center, and then we will also talk about a memorial that is coming to Montrose, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the Real Talk with Delphine. As you know, I'm Distinctive Delphine, and I love to put on a stand and in the light nonprofit in Montrose, Colorado, local businesses in Montrose, Colorado, and I give you real estate stats. But today we're focusing on the nonprofit side of what I do. And our nonprofit that we want to highlight today is the Welcome Home Alliance Veterans Center, and we want to talk about the memorial that is coming to Montrose. So we have Les and Amy with us today. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us, and thank you both for your service. I appreciate that more than you know. And so let's start by talking about where we are. Where are we today, and what is the goal of the Welcome Home Alliance Veterans Center?
Welcome Home Alliance is a nonprofit here in town. It is a veteran resource place where veterans, their families can come and get resources, get plugged into housing, food insecurities, mental health, benefits. We try to hit it all. If you have a problem we've never heard of, then we'll find an answer. But that's what we do here.
And I am actually military relocation certified, which a lot of people don't know this, but vets have great benefits through veteran loans, which really just helps them not having any money down, and a lot of them don't know that. So I know that you help them with that too. Tell me a little bit more about how can we be involved if we have a family member that is maybe struggling and that was serving. How can we guide them, and when is a good time to come? I think you have a great Thursday morning coffee.
We do have a Thursday morning coffee that is veterans only. It's 8 to 10. But anyone, any veteran or family member can come here. We're open. We're Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 every day, and we're here and we'll just do what we can do.
And so currently, what is your biggest challenge, and what would you like the community to know about serving and really recovering from?
That is a very large question.
It's a very loaded question.
I think I would kind of curtail that to what we do is when someone's coming home and we know they're coming home, we try to plug in with their families and let them know we're here. Letting people know that we're here is just about, I mean, that's as good as it gets, right? Just we're here. And we can direct, point, support, listen, cry, whatever we need to do.
And I think that's kind of what maybe drove you to take on this project of the memorial, is because I believe it's very important for veterans to have a place to center themselves, to know that they were not the only one, to really have a recognition of what they've been through. So tell me how this project was born, where the project will be. Let's start with that. Where are we going to work on that? And I've seen some plans, guys, and it's going to look awesome.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us on this program. And I think that this thing started about 2 years ago now. COVID got in the way big time on this thing, and the vision belonged to Mike Trickey, who was the executive director of the Warrior Center at that time. And it morphed into some of the service organizations, but in an informal way, until we're backing up to September of 2022. And by that time, Mike had unfortunately had a very serious health problem that kind of eliminated him from being part of the donation portion, the funding, and everything else. But he comes to the meetings. He is listed in our board of directors as a founder, and so we got the 501c3 and the sales tax exemption on top of that, and we began the operation by setting up a board of directors, getting all that taken care of and the fundamental things.
And for those of you who don't know, a 501c3 is officially a nonprofit. So as you donate, you get fantastic tax benefits. That's the goal, to make sure that as you donate, you're recognized, and it's just like an expense for you in your business or anything else. For tax purposes, it has huge benefits. Just know that. As you know, I donate 10%, and that's how I met these guys, is by donation. And I actually challenged the Rotary Club, and I matched their donations for the memorial. I do think that it's important not only to recognize our veterans and our warriors, but also to give them that sacred place where they can really just not just think, but
be.
But be, yes, thank you. Yeah. I like that a lot. And I love what you said earlier when we were talking about the coffee on Thursday morning, that they have their safe space. I think a safe space is so important. What I think is really cool too, back to the memorial, is that we can purchase bricks, right?
That's correct.
Tell me more.
The bricks are a very constant form of, or flow of financial support for the memorial. And then second, we have the follow-on, just flat-out donations. For instance, DMEA very graciously challenged us to raise $20,000, and when we did that, they would match it. So that was the first large donation. We've had a $10,000, a $20,000 donation, and just recently a $50,000 donation.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we don't know who is behind the 50,000. So you just know that it's a heartfelt donation, and we are very grateful for it, to tell you the truth. And,
I bet.
But the everyday citizen, the bricks give them an opportunity to participate in this in a different way than just going to the memorial. Now they can go to the memorial and visit a friend.
Well, that's why I think it's important to say it can be a brick from my great-grandfather who served, and that I want, even though he's not in Montrose or he's no longer with us, that I can have that in stone. I think it's a great opportunity to commemorate everyone, whether it was World War I, II, or the recent ones. I think it's a great way to remember, because history repeats itself if you don't remember, right? And we talk about even World War II. I'm from Europe. My grandma used to tell me, Delphine, you got to buy a house with a basement with flour and sugar in it, because flour and sugar in wartime is like money. It is gold. And I remember I bought my first house here, and it was a slab, and it was like, Grandma, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The next one, when I can afford a basement, we don't have too many here. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. But we oftentimes forget that it wasn't that long ago that we still have soldiers that are struggling from these wars. And we have Babe here, I believe.
Babe is here.
Yes, and he just turned...
He's going to turn 100.
I mean, phenomenal, right? Yep. The fact that we can... I mean, I love coming here and meeting him, and he holds my check when I donate, and it's just so fun to have him here. But to know that we have someone this wise and has seen so much, that's more what fascinates me. So how can we donate?
Well, we want to thank you
Yeah,
for starting the challenge with the Rotary. Which is a very generous donation from them all, and we are very grateful for that.
We'll do it again through this process. I really support what you're doing, and I'd love to even give more, because for me it's a very important support that you're offering to people that not only warriors but also their family. I think it's really a big struggle.
Well, this is an emotional tug. There's no two ways about that. But it's important that people have an opportunity to go to a safe, very safe environment and just sit and reflect on a father, a grandfather, a son, a cousin, or whatever, by knowing that, as we like to say, veterans like to say, just say their names and they'll never be forgotten.
Oh, I love that.
So that's what the bricks do. And those bricks will be gridded out on the memorial, so that if some stranger comes and says, Joe Smith, where's his brick, we're going to be able to tell them exactly where it is, where they can go.
Oh, that's great.
And it's interesting how we've seen in other memorials throughout the country how people leave mementos. They'll leave flowers. At the Vietnam Wall in Washington, they have 5 classic and special built motorcycles that were left at the apex of that wall. Every day they come and collect everything that isn't perishable. Flowers don't quite make it, but there's letters and there's pictures, and we expect the same thing here. We're at the point now where we're trying to get into some of those details and know how to deal with them, because we don't want to just clean it up at the end of the day and call it good. Somehow or another we're going to have to archive some of this stuff, and that's how they do it in Washington.
Well, and it's all about recognition and honoring who served, right?
Absolutely.
So I think when we talk about recognition, we're talking about that. We don't recognize our veterans enough. It's shifted from World War II, people returning. Tell me more about that. That was a fascinating story for me to learn more about our recent vets that were in the Sand War, and that for them it's a lot more difficult to come back here and not have any recognition or any acknowledgement of their not only commitment but sacrifice to our country. Tell me more.
Well, the way that the wars were conducted have a very similar pattern between the Vietnam veteran and the sandbox veterans. And although it was a jungle versus a desert, it was the way they were treated. I think that one of the things that Vietnam veterans pride themselves in today is that they have taught and educated people to hate the war and love the warrior. And that worked for our guys in the desert. But yet we see an episode of exiting the wars to be almost identical. And I think that as many guys have told me that their emotional trauma that they have gone through had nothing to do with the war, but how it ended and how they were treated when they got home. Well, our guys in the desert came home, and there was a parade for them in New York City when they came back from Desert Storm, and which was wonderful. And I think that most people don't expect to be people treating them differently here, but to at least talk to them. And if every time you see a guy, I hear it all the time, and it says, you know, thanks for your service, and that's wonderful. But a welcome home is even better.
Oh, I love that. See, I always say thanks for your service, but I would never even think of it. I love that.
And it's important to them.
Well, then welcome home.
Thank you.
Yes. Tell me more about your story, Amy. I know you were...
It's very boring. I was in the Marine Corps, and I loved every minute of it. I loved the rituals. I loved the discipline. I just loved it. Of course, I was 18 and very different back then. And I cherish that memory, and I cherish, you know, I can almost guarantee when someone walks in here, I know if they're a Marine just by how they carry themselves.
I bet.
And because you walk just a little bit different. But I love all of these guys that come home, and I think I would want to just add on one thing, and that is one of the things that we've tried to adjust how we talk about mental health and things like that as the moral injury. You can't see it, you know. It's something that happens that you just can't see, and we really want people to know we're here. The park is going to be great because they're going to know they can go there, probably run into somebody that's going to sit and talk to them, and it's going to make a difference, or a family member. And I think it's just going to be. I think it's going to be huge for Montrose. I think it's going to bring, you know, we can tell you from our experience, I don't go anywhere that I don't go to the memorial of that town or city. And so we all visit them, we all want to see them, and that will happen here too. And we're very proud and very excited to see this. We're thankful for all the support. Yeah, it's been great.
I have no doubt that that's going to happen, I'm sure. So I love what you're telling me about Welcome Home, because now it really means a very different thing for me, the name of your center.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why you called it Welcome Home. I love that so much. And then tell me, we know that there is a need to support our veterans, and we were talking, unfortunately, that suicide is pretty high for our people who have served and our warriors. And so you had an interesting data earlier telling me about how on the rise that is right now, but you're also being supported locally. As you know, the local impact for me is very important. So knowing that any veteran can walk in here and the family can be helped and supported is huge. But you're impacting the community with the memorial, but also with a booth to help.
It's 22 a day. That's
the data.
That's the number that we kind of look at. So we have the Darling Dames of Colorado. We're doing a suicide prevention, and we're going to be there, and we're so grateful for them, because they do this every year, and it's huge, and it means so much to the community. But that is a really awful number, that 22, and working to make that number come down, reaching our guys earlier, reaching families earlier is hard. But
how do you go about that? How do you make a difference? If we want to volunteer, do you guys need more volunteers?
Always need volunteers. And I think just getting the word out.
That's why we're here today.
Yeah, getting the word out.
Really
We're here.
Spread the word.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
That you're here, that you can make a difference. And as we were talking about earlier, there are other vets who understand what you've been through.
Yes.
So even though you feel misunderstood now, you don't feel heard, you don't feel like you can go anywhere and be understood, this is the place to be heard,
Absolutely.
to be understood, and to have other people who have been through the same thing, even though it's different for everyone.
Right.
It's still this common pain that unfortunately nobody else can understand.
Right.
And that's part of the emotional issue that'll surround every memorial in every state in the union, because it's just that. And sometimes it's hard to step forward, pay respects to that person that you bought a brick for, or you just remembered. But you be sitting in a very quiet environment where you can be thinking about everything, your buddies, what life is all about after the war or after service. And I think that most of the time our people will, right now in Montrose, there's one memorial, as we know, and it's at the old courthouse. We have spoken to the county commissioners about that, and just recently we met with them, and they haven't given us the answer to this yet, because we're not even in a building stage at the moment. But we want to move the World War I memorial of the old courthouse and bring it down to the new memorial and set it by the hub of the World War I guys. Clean it up a little bit, get the moss off of it, and add a historical document in stone to this memorial.
So you get to honor them as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, I love that.
And the history of it that Montrose did a long time ago with that. So we think that the entire thing is going to bring people as an economic issue as well. I just got done writing about this last month, but there's a memorial in Perryville, Missouri, and it is an exact replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, including the misspellings of a few names. And I've met with the guy who began this, and he was a Vietnam veteran. He was there during the Tet Offensive in 1968. Lost a lot of friends on that. And when he got home, he took his money and invested it, because we had a 10% program. That was a big deal. Your whole salary, in Vietnam was tax-free, so you got a little extra help there. And he just forgot about that money for years and years. And then later he finally realized that he had this, and he had invested in places like Microsoft,
Apple.
Apple. He was a millionaire and didn't know it. He was a dairy farmer. and still is today.
Wow.
So he gave $1 million
Wow.
for another organization exactly like we're doing now. And so I asked them, the local Chamber of Commerce, to give me a ballpark figure of how many people actually visit that per day. And on the average, it's 125 people.
Oh, wow.
So if people do come and see these, veterans who ride motorcycles, which are tons and tons.
Here, yes, with the $1 Million Highway,
Yeah.
100%.
We have guys that are telling us that they're American Legion riders from the Front Range, that they will come over and they will spend the night and they will go to the
Pay their
memorial.
respect.
Yeah.
Well, and they'll spend the night, they'll spend money at
Yeah.
the restaurants.
our restaurants, yeah.
They put money back into the community, and that's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, so.
So how do we donate?
Well, we have the brick process. The bricks are $125 a piece, and Amy's the manager of that particular process, and we really like her for that.
Thank you, Amy, for volunteering your time.
Well, Amy's also on our board of directors, and she's our secretary and keeps us in line during the meetings.
Good.
So it's always good to have a Marine to keep you.
I was going to say,
Keep it
that's
going.
great training to keep everybody in line.
But we understand right now, we've had some phenomenal donations come out of nowhere, and we're very grateful for them. But we do understand that there's an inflationary impact here that's going on. So we emphasize the bricks as a constant source of revenue for the memorial. And, we're pushing the $200,000 level now. And we think that if we could get rid of this inflation, or if we can get people more interested in donations that we talked about earlier that would qualify for the enterprise zone credits for Colorado state tax, we think that maybe we could pick up larger donations, and because the whole building process here is dependent on donations.
Yes.
We're negotiating a little bit different process, but we're not sure it's going to happen. The memorial is going to be built. It's a resolution that we have amongst ourselves that this is going to happen. And when it happens, what we're going to do is have a bricklaying ceremony every year, maybe twice a year, as we continue to sell bricks and grid them out. What we will do is we will have a podium, we'll have a microphone, and we'll have speakers. We'll have somebody read the name of the brick. And if the person who bought that brick is there, they can be escorted down to the spot where that brick goes.
Or the family member.
Or the family member. So it's a real honor ceremony, and we plan to do
Recognition.
at least twice a year, if not once, like a Veterans Day and Memorial Day and that type of thing. But we have some visions too of after it's built, and they're not set in stone at all. They're just visions right now, to maybe have a museum somewhere close by. And these guys do a great job here with this museum that they've turned this into. People give them all their military stuff, and they're running out of walls. So, what can I say? It's contagious.
And it's also more than just a memorial. You have a vision to not only just build something and leave it, but really use this as a way to recognize the families and the warriors and whomever is investing in the brick. And I like that you have rituals that you're thinking about really making this memorial alive, bringing it to life.
Yep.
I think that's a huge difference with anything else that could be built and then left alone, right? But if you promote it and you constantly are proud of it,
And keep it nice.
Yeah.
yes, and keep it nice for that peaceful place for them to be.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yes, I love that so much.
So that is, in a nutshell, what we're trying to do here, and we are extremely grateful to everyone. We have people who have sent us $10, and we're as grateful for that as can be. people who maybe didn't have $10 to give us. So we think that the program is working well, particularly with the bricks. We're out there in the public. We encourage everybody to join us on our Facebook at Montrose Veterans Memorial Coalition, and like us and help us spread the word, the good word that we pass on.
And can we donate online, or do we have to come here?
Well, we have an online donation that you can do on our website, and it's simple as pick, from $10 to $100. Punch in the button, put in your Visa or whatever, and off it goes. You can mail it to us
What's
here
the
at
address?
4
here.
Hillcrest Plaza Way, Montrose, Colorado, 81401.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just know that you can also visit here anytime. As we were saying, the Thursday morning is really a sacred and safe space for the veterans to meet and really be able to connect. But outside of that, you can come anytime and talk to Amy or Les and see where the project is at. You can also see, I believe there is a big board at Cerise Park where the memorial
gonna
is
be.
going to be to tell us more about it. So if you want to learn more too, go to Cerise Park, have a look. But it is important. It's not to be dismissed. It's really just important to see how it's going to impact our community. To me, it's all about impact, making things better, adding value to the community, which is obviously checking all these boxes.
Yeah.
So thank you for
Thank
what
you.
you do.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you really
We
for
appreciate it.
taking us to a better world for our warriors and for all of us, just acknowledging them and telling them welcome home.
Thank
Yep.
I
you.
will remember that.
Thank you.
Thank you. So there you are, guys. If you want to donate, go online. I'll post a link below. It is important to make a difference in our community and to really impact our world around us. So go ahead, donate, or just put the name of someone from your family on the brick who served and was part of making a difference for our country. Thank you so much. Have a great day.